This is a relationship that breaks every rule in the book. Some of the most dangerous predators on our planet, accepting a human into their midst.
Ever get the feeling you've been surrounded by lions? I get it every day.
It has taken Kevin Richardson years of patience and dedication to build these unique bonds. But keeping predators in captivity is fraught with difficulty. Introducing young lions to each other is proving unpredictable. There's a battle developing with the hyenas. A surprise arrival catches everyone unawares. And Kevin faces a race against time to save the animals and the sanctuary where they live.
I would hate nothing more than to see this place go and the animals in it. It's my life and soul.
This is the Kingdom of the White Lion, a 700-hectare private wildlife sanctuary run by Kevin Richardson. It's home to some of Africa's most dangerous and rarest predators. Black leopards, hyenas, and lions. And this is one of the largest and most impressive prides in the park, the big kings. The family is headed by 4 males, 2 tawny lions, Rafiki and Siam, and 2 white lions, Alex and Kaiser. But they are growing restless. White lion Kaiser is challenging the other males for dominance. Kevin fears one of them might get injured, so he's stepping in as peacemaker.
Little big boy. A little big boy.
As soon as he reached sexual maturity, everything changed. And he just became interested in one thing, and that was the woman. He's just taken it upon himself to be dominant over them all the time, and he gets extremely aggressive and unpredictable. And this results in extreme fighting between him and the other lions in this group.
One lioness in particular is the object of Kaiser's affection, Ishka. The kingdom doesn't have the space or money for any new cubs, and so all the females are given contraceptive implants to prevent them from breeding. But with the females not coming into season, it means the males can no longer act out their instinct to mate. Kevin has noticed this sometimes makes them tense and frustrated. And with Kaiser's behavior worsening, Kevin needs to find him a new home.
It's only a matter of time before we land up with someone or some lion being killed in this group, or exorbitant vet bills, because a lion's got half his face hanging off. And that's the reason why we're going to have to move him on.
38 lions live at the kingdom, all of them bred in captivity. Among them, 7 rare white lions, identical to their tawny relatives, except for their coloring. But keeping so many big predators comes with a heavy price tag.
To run a park of this nature, you are looking in the region of around about $15,000 to $20,000 a month. And that's just maintenance, anti-poaching patrols, staff, keeping the electric fences clean. You got your little magic pliers. You know, feeding the lions, watering the lions, making sure they've got proper veterinary health care. They've been de-ticked, vehicles, petrol, fetching food. It's a big job. People don't realize what a mammoth job it is, taking on looking after a lot of lions, not just one lion. It's, a lot of mouths to feed.
Kevin helped set up the kingdom in 2005 to house the production of a fictional movie following the story of a white lion. He was in charge of looking after all the animals on set. Today, the retired white lions that starred in the movie live out their days here, alongside Kevin's favorite lions from his former job at another park. The investor behind the movie also funds the kingdom. For Kevin, the responsibility of looking after the animals starts as soon as they are born. In the kingdom's nursery, lion cubs Mafumu and Vayetsi are growing up fast. They were the last two cubs born at the kingdom before the female lions were given contraceptive implants.
Oh, your tongue is rough. So this area over here is known as the nursery area, where all the orphaned or abandoned youngsters come. And in this particular case, we have two lions that are not related, Mafumu and Vayetsi, about 10 months of age. And these little hyenas were also abandoned. So they all land up here in the nursery area where they can get the care and the love and the attention that they need.
But now Mafumu and Vayetsi's days in the nursery are numbered. They need more space and a chance to start a new life with other lions. Kevin plans to help them form a new pride of their own. But introducing lions to each other can be dangerous. He will need to choose the new pride members carefully. As Kevin deals with the daily challenges of meeting the needs of the animals, he now faces more pressure than ever. The private funding behind the sanctuary is running out, and the bills are piling up. There are troubled times ahead. Kevin urgently needs to find a way for the kingdom to become financially self-sufficient. There's a lot resting on the success of the film. If it's popular, it could provide enough funds to secure the kingdom's immediate future and buy time to find another way to fund the sanctuary.
Bandit, you're heavy, my buddy.
If the film, for whatever reason now doesn't get out there, the consequences are that the park might have to shut down, and we might be having to find homes for 37 lions, 20-odd hyena, and the rest of the animals that live here. But it would be all for naught, my life's work, if that happened. And I can't even begin to imagine that. So
Kevin also has his own growing pride to worry about. Today, wife Mandy is taking their baby son Tyler to see the lions for the very first time. But for the family, the daily strain of running the kingdom is starting to take its toll.
Behind the scenes, obviously running a park of this magnitude, and it's a constant worry for us, because if we don't find the income and keep things going, then what happens to the animals, which is obviously, Kevin, my #1 priority.
And with a battle for supremacy developing in another pride, it's time for Kevin to step in again. Youngsters Tristan, Zippo, and Nash are starting to feel the wrath of their father's dominance.
That ear's ringing.
They're approaching the age when, in the wild, they would leave the pride and form one of their own. Kevin needs to intervene before one of them is injured. He has decided to remove them and form a new pride with another group of youngsters: Bobcat, Bandit, and Gabby. If the introduction works, it means there will be less risk of fighting. It's a big responsibility. Kevin's unique insight into the dynamics of the pride is key to a successful introduction. But there's an added complication.
I'll tickle you to death. I'm gonna tickle you to death.
Spunny the hyena. Spunny was hand-reared alongside Bobcat, Bandit, and Gabby from just a few days old. This unusual pride defy the wisdom that lions and hyenas are arch rivals and will attack each other at any opportunity. Spunny has little idea how to behave around other hyenas, and if he is introduced to them now, he is likely to be seriously injured. For his own safety, he'll stay in the pride where he knows how to behave best, like an honorary lion.
With the lions, actually, he lives a pretty cool life. He's one of the pride. They live a very lazy life. They're both very social animals. Best of mates, in fact. Let's go. In you go. In you go. Get in.
Whether Spunny accepts newcomers Tristan, Zippo, and Nash into his lion pride remains to be seen.
We're going to release them today, see how it goes today, especially with Spunnies, the hyena. And depending how it goes by 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock's the feeding time. If it's all going well, we'll feed them together. If we suspect that it's a little bit awkward and things aren't going so well, then we'll maybe remove them and take them back.
Helping Kevin is his right-hand man, Rodney Nambakana, the only other person to handle the animals at the kingdom. Young lions are notoriously unpredictable. As they sort out their new hierarchy, nervous tension can easily turn to aggression.
When they fight like that, and I mean, it makes a lot of noise, and to a human being, it seems very scary. But to lions with their thick skin and all of that, just a wah, 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 they immediately are showing who's more dominant than the next.
With one group deciding to lay low, for now, it's a stalemate. Bobcat, Bandit, and Gabby seize the chance to take sides with Kevin.
So at the moment, we're in a bit of a apartheid situation. We've got this group, including Spunnies. Spunnies is on the periphery, and myself, and the 3 newcomers, and it's segregation. But it's gone really well. I'm really happy about it. There's been a little bit of nose touching and that kind of interaction. No aggression from either side.
The 2 groups soon banish their initial nerves and start to make friends.
That's fantastic.
As they settle, it's Spunny's turn to find his place in the pride and join in the fun.
Hyena wins.
But the new pride still has to pass the biggest test of all. It's time for them to share their first meal. And with excitement running high, no one knows how it will go. It's dinner time for the new pride, now nicknamed the Terrible Teens. Having only just moved in together, this is the first time they are being fed as a group. To the relief of all, initial squabbles subside, and they soon work out there's enough to go around. And of course, Spunny makes sure that he gets a lion's share. For now, the pride seem happy, but in the next few weeks, Kevin hopes 2 more lions will join them, if they're accepted. With the new pride settled, Kevin turns his attention to another problem. Thor is one of the lead stars in the White Lion movie. But with Thor's acting days behind him, Kevin is now facing a dilemma. Unlike all the other lions at the kingdom, he lives entirely on his own. The only other member of his pride is Kevin.
Thor's about 7 years old now, and he's way past the age of forming new bonds with other male lions.
Come.
So it's not an option, you know, to put a male lion with Thor. The only option really is females. It's just a really difficult situation at the moment because the nature of the kingdom is that we've actually got far too many males compared to females. And the females that would go with Thor would have to be on the pill,
And we don't really want to just acquire 2 female lions to put with Thor.
Long walks through the reserve provide much-needed companionship. But despite Kevin's best efforts, he is increasingly concerned that Thor is lonely.
When the days go by and I've had a busy week, the only lion that really is in the back of my mind is old Thor, because I know he definitely needs some love and attention. Out of all the lions I walk with, this must be my favorite, because I know how much he needs this enrichment. This is really important to him, living as a bachelor. So, you know, whenever he sees me, it's like, come on, Kev, can we go for a walk? Can we go for a walk in the greater area? So I try and take him out more than the others, because they've got, you know, each other's company. Hello, my big boy. What you been doing? Hey, you having fun?
Kevin realizes he's no substitute for the real thing. He needs to find Thor some lion suitors.
Come, boy.
But they will need to hold their own against this big male. Only 2 lionesses at the kingdom could fit the bill. Kasasa and Sabindi might just have what it takes. But Kevin knows it will mean splitting up one happy pride to form another that might fail. There's no guarantee that Thor will accept them. And until the lionesses are given contraceptives, it's not a risk he's willing to take.
It's just very overwhelming for them, because there's a big pool of people and everyone's excited and they just want to get excited.
The premiere of the movie is fast approaching. And for Kevin, that means grabbing every opportunity possible for publicity in the next few weeks.
You know, there's a lot of theories that
With the hard sell over, it's back to the kingdom. There's been a power struggle developing in one of the hyena groups. Hyenas live in a matriarchal society called a clan, ruled by the females. They use a complex range of body language and vocalizations to communicate with each other and establish their social hierarchy. To avoid conflict, males are lowest in the social rank. Out of the 5 hyenas in this clan, female Gina is the head. But her daughter Oslo is challenging Gina for supremacy.
Hey, what's up with you guys? Eh? Hey, Shans?
Kevin is keeping a close eye on them. But this morning he notices more strange goings-on.
What's the matter? You all acting nervous, eh?
And it turns out, for good reason.
Woody? Hey, what's going on with you?
Gina, the matriarch of the hyena clan, is nowhere to be seen.
Where's Gina? She in the den?
She's usually straight over the fence to greet Kevin, but not today.
We're all acting very strange. I guarantee you something's up. Eh?
He's concerned. So he goes to look for her in their underground den. And there's a big surprise in store.
What? He's got some cubs. There's 3. She's got 3. This is very, very unusual. Hey, my girl. This is the first time she's had 3. I feel like a little kid on Christmas. I want to go wait to unwrap my present. This is amazing because she's actually very calm. Gina's a very protective mother. In fact, ferociously so. You could imagine she will protect these cubs at all costs.
When hyenas breed in the kingdom, just as in the wild, newborn cubs are sometimes cannibalized by rival adults and even their own siblings. If this happens, surviving orphans are removed to the kingdom's nursery for safety. Kevin will need to keep a close eye on the clan. Back to her normal nosy self, Gina can't resist seeing what's going on outside.
Hey, Mommy doesn't want me to come too close. Nice, 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 nice. Sure. That's nice. That's nice. Mom and Dad. Turned out to be an awesome day.
For Kevin, one of the biggest rewards of all is watching young animals mature into adults. And of those closest to his heart are 2 lionesses he rescued as cubs.
Well, over here we have Meg and Amy, probably 2 lionesses that I'll never have a better relationship with. Our love affair started pretty much 8 years ago when Mom abandoned them. They probably weigh in at about 180 kilograms each. But their characters are so different. Although they've had the same upbringing, the same input, the same amount of love, the same amount of discipline, Amy is a little bit more reserved, sometimes can be petulant. Meg, on the other hand, is just the most boisterous, outgoing, fun-loving lioness you'll ever come across. And that's why I can go swimming in the river with her. She's just full of confidence. If I go in the river, she wants to go in the river.
Lions will usually try to avoid going in the water whenever they can. Meg's behavior challenges convention. This seems to be a sign of her extraordinary confidence in Kevin.
A big adult lioness coming up, rubbing her head on your face, feeling her tongue. It's like 80 grade sandpaper doing this. You can't stop them from doing it because it's their way of showing affection. So you've just got to endure the pain, and I tell you something, it's really worth it.
Kevin has worked with big cats for over 12 years. But he has faced criticism. Some people believe he is taking too big a risk with his own life.
Yeah, I get criticized all the time for the way I interact with the lions. You know, a lot of people say, do you really need to interact with them that intensely? And, you know, it's the only way I really know.
Kevin has devoted his life to most of these lions since they were cubs. He believes this is key to the success of his approach. By immersing himself in their lives, he can recognize their individual moods, what they like, what they hate, and where their boundaries lie. He refuses to interact with any lions he doesn't know.
So Meg and Amy are just those 2 unique individuals that I can do this kind of thing with quite freely. And truly, if I fell asleep in this enclosure, I honestly can say I fear not that they would jump on me and try and eat me while I'm sleeping.
In the wild, numbers of lions across sub-Saharan Africa have declined dramatically. Today, estimates stand at around 25,000, 80% less than 30 years ago. And white lions are the rarest sight of all, in the wild only found in a single area of South Africa. Kevin has been invited to discover just why white lion numbers in their natural environment are facing such a battle for survival. He is flying to the Timbavati Nature Reserve, part of the Greater Kruger National Park, which covers a vast wilderness area of more than 2.3 million hectares. Between 2006 and 2010, only 11 white lions were born in the area, and only 3 are thought to have survived. Kevin has joined Ranger Patrick O'Brien and tracker Albert Ubisi to try and find them. If they find them, it will be the first time Kevin has seen a white lion in the wild.
So, yeah, we're not far now. We've been tracking the lions for some time now, and we know it's the group that we're looking for because we can see the adult females and we can also see the cub spur. So it's just, I reckon, around the corner there. Albert's told us we should expect to find some lions, hopefully.
And a short while later, Kevin is rewarded with his first sighting of 2 of the rarest lions in the world.
This is awesome, man.
White lions carry a rare recessive gene that inhibits the production of color in their fur. But they are not albinos. Their paw pads and lips are pigmented, and often their eyes are bluish instead of the usual golden brown. This rare recessive gene is carried by normal tawny lions in this region. Young lions, both tawny and white, have a tough time staying alive. As many as 80% of them die before they reach the age of 2. One of the greatest threats to any youngster is when a dominant male takes over a new pride and tries to kill the offspring of the rival male.
But I mean, that just goes to highlight how difficult it is for the white to survive. I mean, we know mortality in lions is high.
That's correct, yeah.
But I mean, the fact that these lions have made it to 14 months, that's
Yeah,
a really,
it's
really
done very well,
good
yeah.
sign.
Luckily for these girls, both are females, and of course that's very important for the old pride and for us, of course, which means that girls always stay in a pride, they never emigrate. Of course, lionesses are the core foundation of a pride, and with these 2 girls staying in the pride, it just means that, of course, it's going to be great in the future to see these 2 girls grow up and become adults.
Isn't that going to be fantastic? Eh?
Can
Seeing
you imagine, yeah, coming
Snow
here
White.
in 2 or 3 years from now and seeing these massive adult white lions hunting?
I'm going to be back. I'll tell you that
Be
much.
very-
I will be back.
Very impressive.
In captivity, white lion numbers are higher than the wild due to breeding programs. But in their natural habitat, Kevin believes their best chance of survival is to conserve the dwindling tawny lion population that carries the gene.
As you know, at the Kingdom, several white lions that I work with, and I've always just been maintaining that we should be conserving the tawny gene in this area specifically. And, you know, when I was told that these cubs were born, I was like, you see, I mean, that just goes to prove that there's tawnies carrying the gene.
You know, both mothers are tawny, and that clearly indicates that, you know, you don't have to be a white lioness to produce white cubs. And there's a very good chance, and maybe that white gene is a lot more prevalent than what we actually think it is.
And even more reason to be protecting these
Exactly.
tawnies in this area.
Exactly, and this is what's so important about this area, is the fact, you know, this is the only place that they are naturally still found.
Yeah.
The trip has given Kevin time to reflect on the role he'd like the Kingdom to play in lion conservation. If he can transform the park so it can open to the public, he hopes it will help inspire people to fight for the protection of lions in the wild. But first, Kevin must find a way to fund the Kingdom. And he's about to find out just how tough this will be. The premiere of the movie has finally arrived. As fearless as Kevin is with big cats, the glare of the spotlight is enough to rattle his nerves. Despite his initial trepidation, Kevin puts on a brave face for the press.
Well, it's tricky because when you're working with animals that can eat you,
A foreign world to Kevin is a potential lifeline for the Kingdom. They're hoping if the film does well in South Africa, it could be released globally.
I'm not joking. I mean, the film took 4 years to make. And believe you me, when a lion doesn't want to do something, he doesn't.
And you better listen to him.
You better listen to him.
Over the next few days, the movie receives its first reviews.
City vibe, yeah. Feline feast.
4 out of 5.
They're good, but Kevin has to wait to see if they are reflected in the box office takings. Back with the Big King's pride, Kevin is checking up on Kaiser. He's determined to find him a new home, to put an end to the trouble he has been causing among the other males. But he just can't find anywhere that wants to take him.
A lion like Kaiser, obviously, we'd like to find him a really good home. So you've got to go into, the details of who's this person, how long have they been involved with lions, do they have the right documentation, what's the facility like, what's his enclosure going to be like, because he's really been used to a great life.
It could take months to find Kaiser the kind of home where he will be safe for the rest of his days. In South Africa, unscrupulous overbreeding of lions by some parks and zoos means that there is no market for any surplus animals. Some of them even end up being sold for what are called canned lion hunts, in which they are released only to be shot by trophy hunters. For now, Kaiser is here to stay. With all the other enclosures at the kingdom full, there is nowhere else to put him. It's an anxious time. Kevin can only hope the big kings settle their differences, and soon. Over in the nursery, lion cubs Mafumu and Vayetsi are fast approaching adolescence. They have outgrown the nursery enclosure and need to live with other lions soon. If they don't, they risk never learning to socialize as part of a pride.
I'm a firm believer in cradle to grave. And for every animal that you hand raise, you really are responsible for his destiny. So if an animal has been taken away for whatever the reason, it's a lifetime commitment. And you've got to really figure out what's going to happen with that animal when it gets older.
Mafumu and Vayetsi now have a big week ahead of them.
Good boys.
Rodney is taking them for the first of a series of phased introductions to what will be their new pride, the so-called terrible teens. Mafumu and Vayetsi are younger, so the introduction needs to be planned carefully to stop any serious fights breaking out. Lions establishing their hierarchy in a pride, both in the wild and in captivity, will frequently injure each other. Kevin is worried that the terrible teens may gang up on the young pair. So he's decided to split up the 6-strong pride into 2 groups of 3. First, he will introduce Mafumu and Vayetsi to Tristan, Zippo, and Nash.
I'm a little bit apprehensive because these 3 are notoriously aggressive, especially when it comes to lions, other lions that they don't know. But they speak a different language to us, so maybe they'll know something that we don't. Maybe Mafumu and Vayetsi, being smaller and younger, will just submit. If that happens, it's fantastic. If it doesn't, we'll have to conjure up another plan. Hello, boys! Oh! Hello, boys! Oh, look! Go look! Nicely. Who's that? Look, they've been so nice and friendly.
Despite Kevin's initial anxiety, the feisty young lions stay relaxed.
This is much, much better than I expected. This is phenomenal. There was like almost some form of, acknowledgement that we know we are a little bit weaker than you guys, you 3, we 2, we younger. So it was really, really good. Some new friends. Oh. It is so tempting to release Mafumu and Vayetsi with this group because it's gone so well. But in all the years of experience, I've realized one thing: overconfidence is a bad thing. And I just think we should wait probably another 1 or 2 introductions like this before we release, because they can almost lure you into a false sense of security where you think, everything's okay. And as soon as you open this gate, it's a different story.
Now there's a bigger test in store. Mafumu and Vayetsi are about to meet the other, more unpredictable half of the terrible teens.
Bandit. Oh.
The unruly trio, Bobcat, Bandit, and Gabby, are the oldest of the terrible teens' pride. They're about to meet cubs Mafumu and Vayetsi for the very first time. They could easily gang up on the younger lions, so for their safety, Kevin keeps Mafumu and Vayetsi in the cage. But as the older lions approach, Vayetsi makes a sudden and aggressive challenge.
Hey, come on, be nice. Be nice. Vayetsi, why you being a naughty boy? Don't be a naughty boy. Oh, whoa. Eh? That was really incredible interaction. It went exactly opposite to how I thought. I thought the youngsters would be a lot more submissive and roll on their backs, and that these guys would show some aggression and show some authority. It was exactly the opposite. The youngsters came at them full of aggression, and these guys were completely passive. How are you doing in and amongst all of this?
Over the next hour, Kevin waits patiently as the lions sort out their differences, separated by the bars of the cage.
Hey, Vayetsi! Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is let them all out together. We've done this a couple of times. There's hardly any interest. The only lion that's really showing any form of aggression is Vayetsi. It's because he's a bit nervous. Mafumu is completely relaxed. These guys are not going to do anything bad. I think if anything, it's going to come aggression from the youngsters. These guys might give a wah, 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 and it's going to be all over. So I'm going to go and let them out. Be nice. Okay.
But Vayetsi's initial bravado quickly fades, and he becomes submissive. Bobcat and Bandit seize the chance to gang up on the younger lion, and Kevin has no choice but to break up the fight with pepper spray.
Stop. I just got a hunch that it would be okay to let them all out. They're all in jolly moods. And especially the youngsters have been extremely submissive. So that's... until Mr. Bandit decided to pick on them. And once he started picking on them, Bobcat came in from behind, where I had to defuse the situation with a little bit of help from a friend called pepper spray. Nice. I want nice.
As an emergency backup, Kevin carries a can of pepper spray to stop dangerous fights breaking out. If he's caught in the middle, an accidental bite from a lion could seriously injure him. It's extremely rare he ever needs to use pepper spray, and in this case, it's Kevin that suffers the consequences. With the introduction between Mafumu and Vayetsi and this half of the terrible teens a failure, it's back to the drawing board. The process is going to be far more complicated than Kevin had thought. And this isn't the only conflict in the kingdom that Kevin needs to resolve. He's received a call that 2 of Gina's cubs have disappeared.
Hello, Gina. Hey, Ma. How's your cub? Eh?
He wants to check up on Gina's one remaining baby.
What's happening? Hello, my girl.
But the matriarch is out of the den and appears restless.
Why are you out the den?
And Kevin has no idea that there's yet another surprise in store.
There's 3. Hey, my girl. Hello, Gina. There's 3 hyenas.
Hold on, I'm a bit confused here. You're not going to believe this, Oslo.
They must be her cubs.
I didn't even know she was pregnant.
Hey, hello, my girl. Hello, Gina. Hello.
Gina's remaining cub is still alive, but her daughter Oslo has also taken up residence in the den and given birth to 2 more cubs. Kevin believes it's likely Oslo has killed and eaten her mother's cubs in a battle for superiority. But despite this, for now, Gina and Oslo seem to have settled their differences, hyena style. With both mothers relaxed, Kevin hopes peace has finally been restored in the clan. But the truce doesn't last long.
What's going on in here, guys? Eh?
A few days later, 2 more cubs have disappeared from the hyena den, and Kevin is back to find them.
My goodness, what's going on here? Eh?
Matriarch Gina is avoiding the den again. Not a good sign.
She seems a little bit calm and friendly, and that's a bit worrying, because if she had a cub, she would be a lot more cautious and protective.
Gina's not the only one behaving strangely.
What's up?
Her daughter Oslo and male Shanzi are raising their tails, a clear sign of aggression towards Kevin.
These guys are showing signs of a little bit too much aggression, and I think we should start hopping out of here, right?
Back in the den, Kevin goes to look for the remaining cub.
Let's just see if I can entice him down here. This is crazy.
Now he's faced with a dilemma. Leave the cub under the care of its natural mother and hope he survives, or remove him.
There's definitely been some chaos on outside. I've looked everywhere, and I can't find the other 2 siblings. It looks like either Gina's probably come and killed one of Oslo's, and Oslo's in return killed one of Gina's, so Gina's got no cubs left. And Oslo's only got 1, and I'm just afraid that if I leave this cub here, I'm gonna have no cubs whatsoever. Come boy.
Kevin reaches a decision. If the cub is to have any chance of growing up, he needs to take it away from the clan. The hard work of hand-raising the cub now begins. It's a 24/7 commitment. And with more mouths to feed, Kevin is eagerly awaiting news of the movie release. Figures are in from the box office. It's not good news. They won't be enough to keep the kingdom up and running, and the animals safe. Kevin needs to find a new approach to raising funds, and fast.
The park needs to be operating and basically paying for itself in about 6 months from now. And if that isn't the case, yeah, again, it's going to be quite a battle to see where we can kind of get funding from and see if we can save it. Because I would hate nothing more than to see this place go and the animals in it. It's my life and soul. Hello, Ishki.
To add to the stress, they know that finding good homes for all of the big cats would be near impossible. The consequences for those who work at the kingdom and the animals could be serious.
We've been with these animals since they were young, so they are like, we are part of their family. I don't even want to think about what it would do to me if for some reason the lions are taken away from me or I'm taken away from them. It would be, I don't know how to describe it.
"12 years ago, I made a little pact with 2 lions called Town Napoleon, and the commitment was to really see them through to old age. And that's basically a lifetime commitment, and I'm not going to throw in the towel just because we've got a couple of financial issues.
The next few weeks will be crucial. Time is running out for the kingdom of the White Lion.
from the warm waters of the South China Sea to the frozen tundra of the Tibetan Plateau, the Mekong River spans 6 countries, travels more than 4,000 kilometers, and binds together an incredible array of cultures and wildlife. Boasting a biological wealth second only to the Amazon basin, the Mekong River is the lifeblood of Asia. After decades of conflict, Vietnam is experiencing a rebirth. The Mekong provides everything: food, shelter, and transport. A wetland wonderworld of canals and rivers, like veins and arteries, pumping life throughout the delta and beyond. Man and animal rely on this liquid source for survival. On the river's edge, hidden jungle enclaves provide shelter to wildlife, once thought to be extinct. And now a race is on to protect what remains. 15,000 cubic meters of water passes down the Mekong every second, sustaining 60 million people along its path. And it all ends up here, the 9 Dragons, where the great Mekong splinters into 9 threads, spilling everything it has amassed along its journey into the South China Sea. Every year during the wet season, over 43 million tons of sediment are deposited into the ocean. Even this far offshore, the effects of the mighty Mekong are felt. Con Dao, or Pearl Island, an isolated Eden nestled off the coast of Vietnam in the South China Sea. These reefs are home to a diverse group of marine animals. Hoa came here 20 years ago to become a park ranger, and he never left.
Đối với tôi rất yêu thiên nhiên, côn đảo, và nhất là mỗi ngày tôi đánh lưới, ra biển đánh lưới, cảm thấy bình.
The locals here have an old saying: on a clear day with the shimmering reflection in the deep blue-green water, it's as if the birds swim in the sea and the fish fly in the clouds. This tropical paradise has long felt the power of the Mekong on its outer reefs. The effect of years of sediment dumped by the river into the South China Sea. But that doesn't stop one special visitor that returns to these shores every year. It's Hoa's favorite, the endangered green sea turtle. Moonlight hits the ocean as fishermen prepare to settle for the evening. Tonight, Hoa is on patrol. His mission is to protect this beach from intruders. This is the beginning of the nesting season for the green turtle. At the same time, every year, they visit this beach to lay their eggs. Sadly, turtle eggs are prized on the black market, so there could be poachers on this beach tonight. It's a dangerous job. Hoa and his team of rangers have to be quiet. Any noise or light will disturb the turtles and scare them back into the ocean. Hoa hears scraping noises. Something heavy is pulling itself up the sand. He's found one. This female was born on this very beach some 20 years ago. Now at breeding age, she's returned to lay her own eggs. The strong muscles in her flippers enable her to use them just like a human hand to dig. And what happens next is one of Hua's favorite moments. She may lay up to 100 eggs in one single night. It's an exhausting process for the mother. Now she's finished, she covers them with sand and heads back to open water. Hua and his team are quick to react. They must stop her returning to the sea. For tomorrow, his team hopes to attach a tracking device onto this turtle. It looks as if she's crying, but the turtle is actually shedding excess salt from a special gland behind her eye. Other mothers are coming ashore. It's going to be a long night for Hua and his team. Con Dao was made a national park in 1977 in an effort to preserve the island's unique wildlife. Hua has been working as a park ranger here since moving from his village in the Mekong Delta over 20 years ago. The nesting turtle that he found laying eggs last night is doing well. This mother has no idea that she's about to be fitted with a satellite tracking device for the first time ever in Vietnam's history. It's a lot of responsibility on one shell. A special epoxy resin is applied to keep the transmitter secured to her for the next 2 years. It will transmit her location to satellites every time she surfaces to breathe.
Đây là cái máy theo dõi cái đường đi của con rùa bằng vệ tinh. Khi ta đeo cái máy.
Ồ, là một kỹ thuật tuyệt vời. Chúng ta hãy chờ xem con rùa chúng ta sẽ đi đâu.
The ancestors of green sea turtles evolved on land and returned to the sea 150 million years ago. They're a species so ancient that they watched the dinosaurs evolve and die out. Biologists are keen to learn more about Vietnam's green sea turtles, where they feed, how far they travel around these islands, and if the Mekong River's outflow affects their journey. Some green turtles can live to be 100 years or more, so this young mother could be coming back to this same beach for another 80-odd years. Hua feels a special bond with these turtles, and he worries for this mother's safety. On land, this turtle struggles to drag her own body weight. But in the water, she can reach speeds of up to 35 kilometers an hour. In just 2 months' time, her hatchlings will follow their mother out to sea, on a journey into a brave new world. High above the turtle's path, these brittle terns jostle for the best real estate on the island. Nesting sites are prized, for the next landfall from here is the Mekong Delta. An endangered brown booby swoops down to move out unwanted guests. Spending most of their lives at sea, these pelagic birds only come ashore to breed. They're opportunistic eaters and will investigate any potential snacks, including small green turtles. It's been 2 long months since their mother left. And these baby hatchlings are ready. But it's not safe for them here. They have to make it to the water's edge. A helping hand reaches them. These lucky few survive the first step of a long and dangerous journey.
Rồi, chúc các bạn chuyến đi về đại dương an toàn nhé.
Chào những chú rùa bé bỏng. Đây.
Hẹn gặp 30 năm sau.
Thôi, về chứ, về với biển chứ.
Cổ.
Oh,
Xuống.
rất là nhiệt tình. Đây. Những chú rùa con về biển, lòng tôi thật là vui sướng. Tôi hy vọng rằng khi chúng trưởng thành, có thể là 30 năm hoặc 50 năm sau sẽ trở lại nơi bãi đẻ, và đó là một cái điều mà bản thân tôi càng sung sướng hơn. Chúng tôi nghĩ rằng các rùa mẹ không thể bỏ mảnh đất này, bởi vì có một cái mối ràng buộc sâu sắc. Điều đó chính bản thân tôi đã thấy làm như vậy. Nếu không tin, xin mời các bạn đến. Bye.
It's the start of a perilous journey. Hoa has released nearly 1 million hatchlings, but only 1 in every 100 will survive these coming months. Large fish, birds and marine mammals find baby green turtles easy prey. To survive, hatchlings cling to floating seaweed and grow strong feeding on plankton. Hoa hopes that these baby turtles will survive, roaming the southern oceans for the next 20 years, so that they'll come to visit him on Con Đảo once again. Some are not as lucky.
Anh Giang thấy con rùa này được không?
This rare albino turtle suffers from a gene mutation that affects its pigmentation, leaving it white. Hoa has kept him as a pet, saving his life. In the wild, he would be easy prey for predators.
Ở Con Đảo trước đây, do cái nhận thức của người dân còn hạn chế, cho nên là người dân đánh bắt. Theo tôi nghĩ rằng là con người trước đây, mà nhất là con người đối với con người nữa, còn sống không hòa bình với nhau, gây nên chiến tranh, chết chóc.
War has shadowed this paradise with a dark past. This was Prison Island. Escape from here was impossible. Its remoteness cursed it for 100 years. Over 20,000 political prisoners died here in prisons, built first by the French, then the Americans. The survivors of its torture chambers find it hard to forget. One was captured during the American War in the Mekong Delta and brought here for interrogation.
Nên cái chế độ nó dã man là cái trại bẫy đó, Phú Bình.
The dreaded tiger cages, built by the American military in 1968. One spent 5 years in this tiny hot cell with 4 other men. He was the only survivor.
Cụ thể như bây giờ, tôi kể gì?
Soon after the war, Con Đảo became a national park and won its director. He dedicated his life to protecting the rare indigenous species of Con Đảo. Inside this dense forest lies one such animal. The early morning sun is heating up the forest dampness. Dawn is the only time to see these shy, skittish creatures. You can hear them barking. There is movement amongst the foliage. Then a black flash with an orange-striped underbelly. It's a Condau squirrel. Giant black squirrels were once found in forested areas all along the Mekong, but their numbers are now scarce. What makes this squirrel unique on this island is that they've evolved into a subspecies found nowhere else in the world. The very first study is underway to find out more about these squirrels. When completed, they hope to prove it's the largest squirrel in the world. With no predators on the island, the squirrels have evolved to be larger than other giant squirrels. They can grow up to 1 meter in length, and over half of this is its tail. As quick as they appear, these giant rodents are gone. For one, this island was once hell. But saving the wildlife of this archipelago has given his life a real sense of purpose.
Ăn đi. Hả, đúng không? Sẽ leo lên cây được chơi ha. Không thể đi được, trời mưa. Một chút cho tạnh.
Juan recently rescued this young squirrel, which was abandoned by its mother. He nursed it back to health, and today they're inseparable. It's only 6 months old. When fully grown, it will be the size of a cat. It took Juan many years to get rid of his inner demons. This island's desperate history has left it untouched, and now protected, it's become an Eden for its residents, human and animal. Above the waves, a storm is brewing. Every year, this part of the South China Sea gets battered by tropical storms and typhoons. Fishermen from the Mekong Delta find sanctuary amongst Condau's sheltered bays as the tropical cyclones wreak havoc up and down the Delta's coastline. Out here, the weather can change quickly, and it's deadly. 50 nautical miles from Condau across the South China Sea, the Mekong Delta, a vast stretch of southwest Vietnam where the mighty Mekong splinters into 9 large rivers. The waters from the Mekong flood the surrounding land, creating a delta or floodplain. A wetland wonderworld covering over 39,000 square kilometers. 300 years ago, the delta was a vast, wild wetland jungle. No one lived here. The Emperor sent thousands of people and herds of buffalo to clear the land. Over the centuries, these wetlands have been transformed into an agricultural powerhouse. Canals were built, crisscrossing the vast floodplain to link the Mekong Delta together. It provided irrigation and a floating transport hub that today supports a staggering 20 million people, one of the most densely populated places on Earth. The human footprint has severely affected the remaining wildlife. Wetlands like these are the perfect habitat for reptiles. One species in danger is the yellow-headed temple turtle. These turtles are well known along the length of the Mekong River. Captured and sold to the Buddhist faithful, who release them into the wild again as a good deed. They were, along with this python, once a common sight along these waterways. But today, the illegal trade in reptiles in the Mekong Delta is huge, and it threatens all that remain. Even this clouded monitor lizard, a giant amongst Mekong reptiles, must keep alert, for his skin and meat is prized. This lizard, with its dragon-like features, is closely related to the world's largest living lizard, the Komodo dragon of Indonesia. Monitor lizards can grow up to 1.5 meters in length. Their sharp claws make them excellent tree climbers. But it's in the swampy water surrounding the Mekong that these dragons feel most at home. These flooded fields were once a battleground, with animals and humans both caught in the crossfire. The Mekong Delta saw some of the heaviest fighting during the war with the United States. This immense wetland proved a difficult fighting ground. Hearn, a fisherman, remembers the sound of the helicopters overhead.
Lúc đó là chúng tôi sợ hãi dữ lắm. Khi sợ hãi rồi phải tính toán sao mà để tránh bão cho được, bằng được.
But it never stopped him going to sea. For Hearn, this is home.
Tôi ở ngoài khơi, trở về thấy một màu nước xanh và một màu nước màu nâu. Và tôi đã biết sắp sửa về đến nhà.
Hearn and his crew are returning from a long and dangerous month at sea, off Con Dao Island, fishing for cuttlefish, mackerel and snappers.
Lôi chắc ngang quay lại cái chỗ nắp hầm á. Tụi mày ơi, sắp về nhà rồi.
The harbour is full of boats. It's nearly Tet, Vietnam's New Year. It should be a time of happiness, but Hearn is concerned. He's only filled half his hold this time. It's about 800 kilograms of fish, not enough to survive at any other time of the year. But it's New Year celebrations, and fresh fish will be in great demand across the Delta. That means premium prices. It's a gamble he hopes will pay off.
Bán được nhiều tiền. Tết năm nay trong gia đình ăn Tết đầy đủ và vui vẻ.
Back from sea, Hearn visits the local temple to pay respects to the god of fishermen, the whale god. Legends are told in the Delta of one revered creature and its powers to protect men. Vietnamese fishermen believe the whale god protects them in the stormy waters of the South China Seas. The bones of 2 such whales, entombed in a concrete grave, rest in peace inside the temple. Hearn himself believes he was once saved by a whale when Typhoon Linda struck in 1997.
Tháng 10 năm 97 á, cơn bão số 5 á, coi như thuyền sóng to lắm, rồi nó nghiêng qua nghiêng lại vậy nè, rồi anh em á thì ở dưới ghe người á thì bơm nước máy bơm ra, rồi người á thì nước nó lên hầm á rồi cứ tát ra. Khi mà tàu mà trừ ra chỉ có máy hư hỏng thôi, trong khi mà cơn bão đến á, sóng to gió lớn á, thì tôi cầu mong giang giái cá ông á, cho thuyền được vô bờ được an toàn. Và tin á, cái vụ cá roi là tin á, bởi vì nhiều khi tiền mà đắm á, mấy ông già bà cả có kể lại đó là đỡ ghe, đưa ghe vô bờ.
Typhoon Linda was the biggest storm to hit Vietnam in 100 years. Thousands lost their lives. Min has been waiting for his grandfather to return home safely.
Ba về ăn Tết với cô.
Gia đình vui vẻ ha.
Gia đình chào ngoại á.
Hearn managed to sell his fish for a profit. He's happy to be home.
mặt trời mọc, con và khi con đến trường, con dẫn nó ra ngoài đồng cho nó ăn. Sáng bây giờ dẫn người đi ăn mệt rồi. Rồi ở đây đi, người ta còn đi về làm việc nữa.
Bao Bao is Min's best friend.
Và nó rất thân mật với con người. Khi con cưỡi nó rất là thoải mái và khi con cho nó ăn là...
The physical bond between man and buffalo dates back 3,000 years. Here, water buffalo is still an integral part of daily life. 300 years ago, the canals that crisscross the Mekong Delta were dug using the brute force of the water buffalo. This transformation from wilderness to rice field is owed to them.
Con thích con trâu bởi vì con trâu nó rất là khỏe và làm những việc nặng nhọc cho bố mẹ con và giúp người nông dân đi cày.
It's rice harvest day, and Min has to leave his buffalo. He's late. Over 3 million buffalo graze in Vietnam. The Delta provides seasonal floodplains, a perfect habitat. Bao Bao loves grazing. She has a young calf who should be weaned, but the calf is still hungry and tries to get a free meal from its mum. The fat content in her milk is the highest amongst all domestic farm animals. In the wild, tigers are the only natural predator. Luckily for Bao Bao, they have long since disappeared from this part of the Mekong. The buffalo shares the delta with the tallest flying bird in the world, the Sarus crane. Towering over the buffalo at 6 feet tall, their wingspan stretches 8 feet across. From a distance, they look like ostriches with their heads in the mud. This elegant dance routine of bowing, jumping and running is used during courtship and is a way to express emotion. During the war with the United States, these birds disappeared completely from the Delta, only to return during the years of peace that followed. In the seasonal marshes and floodplains, just 1 inch under the surface, grow tubers, the staple food of the cranes. Having found sanctuary in the Mekong Delta, this last group of cranes is now under threat. Their habitat is disappearing due to rapid development and the need to cultivate another crop. Rice. Wisely, this young reticulated python gives a wide berth to the intrusive humans. It's the end of the harvest season, and everyone in the captain's family lends a hand.
Cháu mình sáng nay có đi coi trâu không?
Dạ có, sáng nay con có đi chăn trâu.
In Vietnam, rice is a way of life. This is the Rice Bowl of Asia. Every square metre of land is used for cultivating it. 70% of rice eaten in Vietnam comes from the Mekong Delta. Producing over 400 million tons a year, Vietnam is the world's largest rice exporter, second only to Thailand, 600 kilometers north up the Mekong River. Down amongst the rice fields, a celebration is underway. The Lunar New Year is the most important day on the calendar for Vietnamese. Hang's catch made a good price at market. The trip brought him enough money to rent a dragon dance, with enough left over for a feast. The kitchen in Hang's house is a hive of activity. All of the women in the family have gathered in the kitchen to help prepare. Min is excited. He has never seen the dance before. According to legend, Vietnam was born out of a marriage between the Dragon Lord of the Seas and a Chinese princess. The mythical beast symbolizes power and blessings from heaven. Because of this, the Vietnamese have always regarded themselves as children of the dragon, a symbol of great and benevolent spiritual power. It's the most important meal of the year, a time for families to get together and enjoy each other's company. Hang hopes this dragon blessing will bring him luck on his next trip to sea. It's been a long day in the rice fields. The buffalo are coming home. It's the end of the year, and Min decides that Bao Bao deserves a special treat. Buffalo love water. It cools them down and helps remove unwanted parasites. The Mekong Delta was developed by harnessing the power of water buffalo like Bao Bao. Both of their futures are linked to this unique wetland, forged from the Mekong River.
Mẹ nói chuyện với bố mẹ đi, là mai con đi đâu, nói đi.
Min and his family are staying up to celebrate the new year. It's nearly midnight. Everyone in the family is happy, except Min. He wants to see in the new year with Bao Bao.
Ba mẹ đi ra ngoài chút nè. Rồi, đi. Châu ơi, hôm nay là Tết, ta cho mẹ ăn khỏe, sang năm Tết là ta cho mẹ ăn ngon khỏe, đặng sang năm mày sanh thêm một con nghé nữa.
Rivers and canals link the Mekong Delta to Vietnam's largest city, 18 miles to the east. This vital waterway is used to transport the delta's natural resources, and it all ends up here. Ho Chi Minh City, on the banks of the Saigon River.
Từ nhỏ tới lớn tôi vẫn ở Sài Gòn, tôi sinh ra và sống ở Sài Gòn, nhưng mà Sài Gòn là cái thành tôi không bao giờ thích cái cuộc sống ở thành phố hết.
Ho Chi Minh is home to more than 8 million people. It's an Asian megacity. Vietnam's economy is one of the fastest growing in Asia.
Rất là xô bồ, rất là đông người, rất là không khí cũng tương đối là ô nhiễm.
Hoang is an artist. He used to work for a multinational company.
Công việc của tôi thì là lúc trước là công việc trong ngành quảng cáo thì rất là căng thẳng, lúc nào cũng phải gần như là thứ bảy chủ nhật lúc nào tôi cũng phải để tâm nghĩ tới nó. Cái công việc của tôi thì nó khá là căng thẳng và nó khá là cạnh tranh, và cái đời sống của thành phố thì rất là.
He decided to put his skills to use elsewhere and help Vietnam's wildlife. Hoang is heading out of the city.
Phía bên đây là có hay có vườn lắm mà.
This is where he feels more at home. 120 kilometers up the Dong Nai River, inside Vietnam's largest lowland tropical rainforest. Forests like these have all but disappeared from along the Mekong, but this protected area is a showcase for wildlife. Hoang now works for Wildlife at Risk, Vietnam's first independent wildlife conservation group. The team is heading deep into the remote Cat Tien National Park to release some endangered reptiles that have been confiscated from wildlife traders in the Mekong Delta. With temperatures reaching 35 degrees and high humidity, it's hard going. During the years of conflict, this hidden jungle was sprayed from the air with chemical defoliants like Agent Orange. When scientists started to survey the area in the 1980s, they discovered a lost world. Hidden inside this dense jungle canopy are some of the world's rarest animals. Dozens of species, once thought to have disappeared from this part of Vietnam, have been rediscovered. Like the Siamese crocodile and the gaur. It caused a sensation amongst conservationists worldwide and spawned a local interest to save what was left.
Được nhiều thôi, tụi nó sống vậy, mệt không?
At the base of a gigantic hardwood tree, a root provides the perfect place to rest and check on the animals.
Còn con này cái miệng nó bị thương gì có sao không thôi?
Nó ăn rồi. Tại vì
nó lành lẹ. Từ đây vô tới Bầu Sấu có bao nhiêu lâu nữa hả?
Đi khoảng có 30 phút nữa thôi. Đi trên nó ăn cái con đấy.
Đi trên xuồng thả.
Ăn cái con gì?
Còn dòng tôm thì cũng vậy luôn. Dòng tôm chấu đi xuồng thả.
As its name suggests, the water dragon is a great swimmer and can submerge itself for up to 30 minutes at a time. The team is searching for a lake where they can release it. These dragons are popular pets in Europe and the United States, where this one was destined to go until rescued by Hoang and the rangers.
Ủa nhà mai con về.
Mai về thả trong túi đâu.
Rồi. Vậy ha.
Hoang takes some time alone. Jungle inspires him.
Tôi cảm thấy cái không gian nó rất là đặc biệt và cái thời gian rất là đặc biệt. Tôi cảm thấy tôi sống với những cái khoảnh khắc của tôi nó có giá hay hơn, nó có giá trị hơn. Cái sự yên lặng của thành phố này là một cái sự tương phản mà hoàn toàn tuyệt đối so với cái sự ồn ào của thành phố. Tôi biết vẽ tôi vẽ từ trước khi mà tôi biết đi. Tôi nhớ là hồi nhỏ, từ hồi tôi 1-2 tuổi tôi đã nằm ra sàn và tôi lấy phấn vẽ trên sàn nhà rồi, và tôi nhớ là mấy bạn nhỏ ở trong xóm cũng bu tới coi tôi vẽ, thành ra tôi nhớ là tôi biết vẽ và tôi thích vẽ từ hồi rất là nhỏ.
His talent has become a tool in the fight for conservation in Vietnam.
Thành ra tôi nghĩ tại sao không, nếu mà tôi không bắt đầu sử dụng cái khiếu đó, cái nghệ thuật đó của tôi để mà tôi góp phần vào cái việc giáo dục về môi trường và trong cái công việc mà bảo tồn thiên nhiên. Thì từ lúc đó tôi mới nói là có thể là tôi có thể làm cái gì hơn ngoài cái việc mà vẽ đó.
Hoang sketches the animals he can see, but the images of wildlife that remain hidden from human eyes are captured another way. The Javan rhino, one of the rarest animals in the world, thought to be extinct in Indochina, until this picture confirmed its existence in 1999. Camera traps are the only way scientists can find out what's left in Cat Tien.
Đứng cái góc kia thử bây giờ thấy không?
Who knows what other species are yet to be discovered in this dense forest? The team rest for the night, and Hoang finds inspiration in the beauty of Cat Tien. Hoang's journey is nearly over, and for the reptiles, freedom is in sight.
Bên kia địa phận của mình cái đó mình thấy ở trên không.
The team decides to release the large python first. This pristine area of lowland forest next to a large lake is the perfect spot. It's a delicate operation, and the snake is angry after the long journey. He breaks for the nearest tree to take a rest, gaining his strength. This habitat is full of birds and small mammals. Once he is fully recovered, hunting can begin. Pythons hold the record for being the longest snakes in the world, at over 10 meters. The team find a good location to release the two water dragons.
Tôi thích vẽ bò sát và nhất là rắn. Tôi biết đó là những cái loài thú mà người ta rất là sợ, nhưng mà khi mà thực sự mà mình cầm cái con thằn lằn, con rắn mối hoặc là con rắn lên, mình thấy nó có rất là nhiều cái màu sắc, cái sự sắp xếp trên cái vảy của nó, những cái màu sắc trên cái người nó rất là thấy được cái vẻ đẹp của nó, một phần nào của cái vẻ đẹp của con rắn. Thành ra tôi nghĩ là hy vọng điều đó cũng làm cho người ta qua những cái hình vẽ này cũng làm cho người ta bớt sợ những cái loại bò sát này.
Về nhà nha, nhà mấy vết thương này chắc mau lành ha, vết thương này. Về nhà nhiều cá nhiều vợ.
It's a long, hard trip back to the city for Hoang.
Cho dù đó là những cái bước nhỏ nhỏ, nhưng mà đó là những cái bước đến trước, những cái bước đi đến, những cái bước đến trước mặt, những cái bước tích cực trong cái việc bảo tồn, đem lại cái nguồn những cái loài trả về lại thiên nhiên. Nhưng mà hy vọng đó cũng là nâng cao được cái nhận thức về môi trường của cộng đồng, của công chúng, biết được cái sự quý giá của thiên nhiên Việt Nam, và họ bảo vệ nó, muốn bảo vệ những gì đẹp đẽ nhất mà họ có trong tay trong lúc này.
year is over, and it's time for Heung and his crew to leave the Mekong. It's hard to leave his grandson, but the sea is in Heung's blood.
Tôi là người đánh cá, rất vui mừng trở lại biển khơi để đánh cá.
He takes one last look back at the Mekong, then heads out to open water.
Chúng tôi rất mong cá ông phù hộ cho chúng tôi bắt được nhiều cá, trở về bờ được an toàn.
After nearly 30 years of conflict, Vietnam is experiencing a rebirth. From Con Dao's white sand beaches to the Delta's vast wetlands, to its dense inner forests, life and hope are returning to the Delta. The Mekong is the heart that pumps life across Vietnam, sustaining and regenerating this incredible land.